Yesterday, I received a notification on my Facebook page that I was absurd, that the claims I was making that a 22-year-old could invest into a Roth IRA at $6,000 a year, and if they invested in the right stocks, they could be a billionaire on their 59th birthday. Now, it was from this website. This is Value Investing. As you can see, they're pumping off of Warren Buffett. They've got 170,000 members, and I thought 170,000 people need to be made aware of this. But the moderator did not post my post. He came back and said, "You're making absurd claims." And the fact is, they reject most of the posts I put on because I'm absurd. Well, I don't think I am. Let me show you what they put up on me. This is the post that I put up on Value Investors. And as you can see, I did a video about this, about how a 20-year-old or a 22-year-old, I believe it was, could invest in the stocks that are going to change his life. And by 59, he could be a billionaire. And if it was in a income tax free, a Roth, it would be income tax free when he turned 59. And as you can see, I got some feedback. And the feedback from the administrator was absurd assumptions. This kind of post doesn't do anything good, which basically says that this gentleman or woman, whomever, is not aware of the performance of stocks like Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft over the past 20 years, and that is not aware that if they had identified these stocks, they would have gotten an average return in excess of 33%. So who's absurd here? That's my question. To support my premise that a 33% return is most definitely achievable, here is the history of Apple. And what I'm showing basically is if you made a one-time investment of $10,000 when it went public in 1982, you'd have 18 million, or an average return over that period of time of 36%. If you done it on Microsoft in 1987, you'd have an average return of 33%. Amazon, 75%. NVIDIA, 60%. And this is Google, it'd be 25, and Facebook be 37. If you add those all up and divide them by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you come out with an average return on investment of 44%. So who's absurd here? Who is missing the boat? The reality is we know it's possible because we've seen it done before. So if we know a 33% return is possible because we've seen it done before, how do we duplicate it? How do we duplicate what happened in 1989 through 2000 as the digital revolution took over the world? How do we find the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jeff Bezos, the Serge Brin and Larry Page, and then going all the way back to Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs? How do we find them? Could we have found them back in 89? Well, sure. All we would have had to do was Google who's running the internet, who's changing. Wait a second. Google didn't exist. So the likelihood of us finding those people, the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates and Paul Allens, is not probable. But with a lot has changed. We do have Google now. We do have a revolution, a technological revolution occurring, and we can find those people. We can Google them, such as, do you know who Jennifer Doudna is? Do you know who Emmanuel Carpentier is? You can Google those names. You should know them. That's what this video is all about. How do we duplicate what happened before by studying history and then going back and finding the people that are going to make us a billionaire? That's what I want to talk to you about today. So we know it's possible. Okay? We know that you can achieve a 33% average return if you pick the right stocks. If you see the revolution coming, and then it wouldn't have been enough to just know that the World Wide Web was going to turn into the internet. You needed to know the companies that were going to drive it. So I believe the answer is don't search for the company, search for the people. Search for the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs, and then invest in them, because they have displayed the knowledge above and beyond the general public. Much as you knew about Jeff Bezos, you could have Googled that. You knew about Mark Zuckerberg. You just didn't believe the change was going to occur as it did. You knew about Elon Musk. Did you believe in him? So how do we find the next revolution? Well, we have to find what the next change is. And we got to believe that this change is going to be as big, if not bigger, than the digital revolution. Well, I read the book. I hope you have too, The Codebreaker by Walter Isaacson, who points out that Jennifer Doudna is probably the Bill Gates of the future. She is leading the charge on the future of genome sequencing and genome editing. Did you know that? Did you know that she and Emmanuel Carpentier in 2020 won the Nobel Peace Prize for Science for their invention of CRISPR? If you know that, and you know the history of the digital revolution, and now you can equate that to the future of the health cure revolution, then you know who to invest in. Now you only have to find out the companies that they represent. Who is the Microsoft that's affiliated with Jennifer Doudna? Who is the Apple that's affiliated with Emmanuel Carpentier? Who are the other players? Who's George Church? Who's Frank Zhang? If you know those things and you know the companies they invest in, that 33% is not a pipe dream. It is not absurd. For someone to tell me it's absurd is absurd, because it's happened before. All I have to do is recreate it, put myself in a position. And what I hope to do is to put you, particularly if you're 22 years old, that you can do what was done before, achieve a 33% over the next 20, 30 years in a tax-free investment, a Roth IRA, at $6,000 a year. And on your 59th birthday, you'll be a billionaire. Now, I know there are those of you who say that's absurd, but it's not. It's just studying the market, understanding what's happened. If I just keep going back and saying, if you were astute and you really dug, you would understand what was going to happen in 1989, and you would have found Bill Gates, and you would have found Steve Jobs, and then you would have recognized what Google was. I mean, we all knew what Google was. We all were using it for years. We just couldn't figure out how they were going to monetize it. We all used Amazon for years. We saw it go from $75 a share to $7.50 a share in the dot-com bubble, and we ignored it. Don't let that happen again. There are stocks like Editas who have rocketed up and then now are down 70%. CRISPR, rocketed up, come back down. Illumina, rocketed up. Invate, rocketed up, come back. You've seen it before. Just open your eyes and take advantage of it. That's what it's all about. You ever heard the statement that You become the people that you hang out with. Well, I wish I could hang out with these people, and I'd understand it even more than I do now. So all I really do is read and study because I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of the world changing. I want to be the guy who told you about it so it changed your life. The other thing then, as I said, you become the people that you hang out with. I have a tribe. I have a group of people at our Discord that we meet. We're meeting. In fact, I'm shooting this video on Friday. We'll meet this afternoon at 3 o'clock on a Zoom call, and we'll talk about things like this, and we'll talk about what we learned in the last week. So it's not just Carrie, it's a group of people. And then I spend about $70,000 a year in gathering the guru's information. And I have some assistants that I work with that are analysts that basically go through all of their information and say, this is the best of the best. That's what this channel's all about. That's what I want to do. I want to, when I lay in my coffin, I want to be able to think, how many 22-year-olds are going to be billionaires when they're 59 years of age? Because of you, Carrie, you made a difference on your time in the earth. Now, of course, I hope to have some of that billions in my own that I can leave to my family, because that's part of the goals of Best of Us Investors. One, to make better investment decisions, informed better investment decisions. They may be thought absurd by some people, but we believe in them. And then number two, to keep more of what you make. That is to understand our tax code. That's how people get rich. They keep what they make. And number three, pass on to your heirs the maximum that you can. Well, why not do it? Why not accumulate stocks and bonds and real estate and crypto and make the lives different for those who follow us? Okay, come talk with me again tomorrow. I got more exciting stuff for you to learn about.